Detective Jake Riley is on the trail of a serial killer who murders mothers and sets them ablaze after they're dead. Nearing retirement, Riley is removed from the case, but is soon contacted by a government agency that has created a clone of the killer using secret technology. The Replicant teams with Riley to help track down the killer, but despite the novel approach, he will be hard to stop. And hey, what's up you guys, Bloody Jacob here to bring you another movie review, and obviously this time we're going to be talking about Replicant, another Jean-Claude Van Damme film, which came out in 2001 and starred Jean-Claude Van Damme, actually in two roles. And like I said, came out in 2001. It was directed by Ringo Lam, is another part I want to mention as well, especially because he unfortunately passed away just this past December. And he had worked with Van Damme on a number of other projects too, including things like Maximum Risk. So he obviously had an enjoyment, or at least an efficiency, with working together on different films. So it was good that they teamed here as well. And yeah, this features Van Damme in two roles, like I said. This one, double impact and things like that. Double impact I'll get to eventually. But for some reason I shied away from some of those types of premises just because I don't know. I just don't feel as interested in the whole two of one person thing. I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't float my boat for some reason. But I watched this one first because of sort of the science fiction edge to it. My brother had seen it some time ago, and he said there was a bit of a kind of a horror vibe, or like darkness, to some of it, I guess, which there is very much with Van Damme's role as Garrett, the serial killer version. Who he plays here, you get to see Van Damme be a little bit more sort of eccentric, a little bit more sort of sinister than the general public kind of knows him for. Yeah, I really want to see a movie he did a few years back called Enemies Closer to see another sort of example of that. And so you get the contrasting sides of this serial killer Garrett, who was really brought up in a very bad childhood, and he made certain choices in his life that led him to sort of have this mindset and sort of view on things. And then you have the Replicant, our sort of good version of this character, really, who's just trying to grasp this this world he was literally kind of just born into. So it's a good contrast there, and I'm sure Van Damme had at least a little bit of fun, playing different ranges or sort of different types of approaches with his acting and such. But I also really have to talk about Michael Rooker, who of course plays Jake Riley, the detective mentioned in the description there, or in the Google sum up anyway. Michael Rooker I'm a big fan of. A lot of people know him as Yondu in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I particularly loved him as Merle in The Walking Dead. He's just done tons of movies for decades now. He's a really talented actor, really nice guy from what I've seen. I would like to meet him someday. And in a way, he's sort of our main protagonist, I guess, or sort of our character that the audience follows from the beginning, and he gets involved in some action and chase scenes as well, which is pretty cool. And one of the best things about this movie is the relationship that develops between Michael Rooker's character Jake and the Replicant, because like I said, the Replicant is just born into this world, so he's literally not used to anything yet. In fact, in his first scene, he doesn't really know how to walk properly or anything basic like that. There's a scene of him where it starts raining, and it's kind of cute at first. You see him sort of looking up at the sky, embracing the rain. But it's like it's kind of a nice moment as well. Kind of funny. And if you know Michael Rooker, if you've seen him in almost anything, you know this guy has a big personality, and it's pretty damn funny when he's irritated or pissed off, which you get a lot of in this movie. So that sort of contrasting Van Damme sort of emptiness, unknowing type of character was a lot of fun, and you sort of get some funny back and forth or little moments here and there that just made the movie a little bit more entertaining, I think. Now, if they had cast someone else as Jake, as Michael Rooker's character, I don't know if the movie would have worked quite as well, but I think Michael Rooker definitely does elevate it a little bit. I never knew I wanted to see him and Van Damme in a movie together until I finally sat down and watched this, and I'm really glad I did. I'm really glad I just bought the Blu-ray right away. Granted, I bought it at a used store for not very much money at all, but very well worth it. It was actually probably one of my favorite Van Damme films at this point. We don't see Van Damme in a lot of comedic type movies, and this one is, I won't say it's not a comedy, but it's good to see that mix with sort of a darker theme with a serial killer's background, and it does sort of try to tackle some decent sort of themes and such that I think worked really well. It's probably within my top 5 Van Damme films, honestly. I just really like the mix of it all. And Van Damme, he gets there's a bit of emotional weight that they inject, especially towards the end, as there is a real bond that develops between Jake and the Replicant, which I actually thoroughly enjoyed and thought it paid off nicely, and in a way I didn't really think it was going to a certain point by the end of the movie. And JCVD, he gets to show some emotion here, which I wasn't really ready for in the film's climax, which I also really liked. I really loved the ending, actually. The fights are pretty good as well. I'm pretty sure Van Damme does the splits at least once in this movie, although not as much as Bloodsport, which is like 7 times, but still. There's some good kicks. The final fight, or the fights between the Replicant and the serial killer are pretty good. And there are a couple of chase sequences with Michael Rooker and the killer that I do like. Probably partly because of Michael Rooker, but I did care about Jake as well. I think it would have been also fine if it was just Michael Rooker tracking this serial killer played by Van Damme. But the Replicant definitely helps and makes the movie what it is, of course. Of course, that's the title. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this movie. One of my favorite Van Damme films, actually. I think it's pretty overlooked. I hardly see this one mentioned at all. Not quite sure why. I know it was sort of around that time when Van Damme started kind of just doing straight-to-DVD movies, which a lot of them have been pretty good that I watched. He's far more successful with this than, especially like Steven Seagal and stuff like that. Just stupid. But yeah, before I have another coughing fit, if I had to rate this film, I'm giving it about a B+ or an 86%. And I just thought it was really solid. I liked it a lot. I have trouble finding fault with it. I mean, sure, the plot is ridiculous or not realistic, whatever, but it's fine. It works. And I think the movie has pretty good pacing as well. It's not very long like most of his films. And the budget wasn't massive either, really. Just 17 million. Or something like that. But yeah, let me guys thought about Replicant. Do you like it as much as I do, or is it fit for you? Do you think it's a little bit overlooked? Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.